in today's video I'll be talking about Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021. When they announced when this movie was going to be remade, fans were excited, but little did we know what to expect at that time in 2020, that there was going to be a crazy year for a pandemic. This movie was postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic. We had to wait for this movie to be released 1 year later in 2021. Before seeing this movie, I did not see this in the movie theaters when it came out because coronavirus was still too risky to go to the movie theaters at that time. Despite I was vaccinated around that time, I didn't see this movie until 1 year later, getting this on Blu-ray as a Christmas present from my father and my mother. This movie is a sequel to Kong Skull Island and the first two American Godzilla movies. It's too bad they not bring back Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson's characters from Kong Skull Island as older people, or get older actors playing those characters from Kong Skull Island. I wonder when they will make a follow-up sequel to Kong Skull Island, with just King Kong as a focus. I love Kong Skull Island a lot. And yes, I am aware there is a Netflix animated series called Skull Island. I only saw one episode. It was pretty good, but again, that was a cartoon. I'm not sure we consider this canon because it's not live action like Kong Skull Island was. At some point, I would like to check out the rest of the series. This is the fourth MonsterVerse movie. Besides this movie being postponed because of COVID, way before this movie was finally made, pre-COVID, this idea had been in development for so many years, going far back as when Toho wanted to make another Godzilla vs. King Kong movie. Back in the 60s and the 90s, Toho wanted to remake Godzilla vs. King Kong. But due to creative differences and licensing issues, the project was never made. Yet somehow, they finally worked all the legal bullshit out. And in case you're wondering who owns King Kong at this point, I have no idea. It's a clusterfuck confusion. It was directed by Adam Wingard, directed horror movies like You're Next, The Guest, and the 2016 Blair Witch Project sequel to the original Blair Witch Project movie. King Kong in this movie felt like the original Betrayal, where he felt human, you sympathize with him, but no beauty. King Kong looks old in this movie like Grandpa Kong. This is more of a King Kong's movie than Godzilla's movie. When he's on the boat, he eats fish. I'm thinking, 98 Godzilla, that's a lot of fish. The weapon that King Kong uses in this movie made me think of Thor. Well, I didn't hate or love this movie. I thought it was okay. The story was nothing crazy or special original. It didn't focus much on a story and characters. It was all about Godzilla and King Kong fighting each other. But one good highlight that I did find good in this movie that I thought was okay was seeing the little girl Gia, who is deaf and mute, takes a liking becoming friendly to King Kong. Felt like something out of E.T. I'll admit, that is a little cliche. Gia sees how King Kong is sad and he misses his home, Skull Island. Apparently, King Kong knows sign language in this movie. Rebecca Hall's character was shocked that the little girl can communicate with King Kong. Rebecca Hall's character is basically Gia's stepmother because her parents were killed on Skull Island years ago. The little girl Gia's relationship with King Kong was cute and charming at times. Godzilla was the bad guy up until the end, when him and King Kong teamed up fighting Mecha Godzilla and beating him up. Thank God it was not like Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, where both their mothers had the same name and became best friends. Then again, we don't know if King Kong and Godzilla have mothers, not that I'm aware of. And like I said before, the characters are cliched, the mad scientist, the conspiracy theorist, and the Area 51 cliche. And I'm not saying the acting and the characters were like bad, I just wish they could have done a better job giving them more personality, better arc charisma in these characters. To me, these characters are not memorable for me. Just don't have too much high expectations on these characters when you watch this movie. I didn't have much attachment or investment in these characters. My main attachment and focus in seeing this movie was King Kong and Godzilla fighting each other, that's it. But the characters I thought were alright were Rebecca Hall and Alexander Skarsgård characters, but again, nothing special in my opinion. Even though it's not the best movie, I still wish I saw this movie on the big screen. It was not for COVID at the time. But at the same time, I'm sort of glad I did not waste my money seeing this movie in the movie theaters. But in a strange way, I still wish I saw this in the movie theaters just for the fun of it and the experience. To see Godzilla and King Kong kicking ass, seeing two big giant monster icons fight each other for the fun of it. Like a lot of the fans, I did like the fight scene between King Kong and Godzilla, despite it was CGI, but it wasn't bad. The CGI was alright. I can accept it for what it is. If they did this back in the 90s or 2000s, the CGI would have been crap compared to now. Too bad this movie was not made by Toho back in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s, before CGI really took over. Think about how cool this movie would have been with the updated special effects 30, 40 years ago. The movie has nice visual when Godzilla and King Kong fight in the city at night. It looked like something out of Tron Pacific Rim. It's very glowing, spectacular, laser tube lights that are bright and shiny. This is where the movie makes up the epic battle fight scene between Godzilla and King Kong, kicking ass and fighting each other. Yeah! Fans complained that in the last Godzilla movie fights in the nighttime, and we could not see what was going on. Fans got their wish. Godzilla and King Kong fight in the daytime. But like I said, he does fight King Kong at night, so it was 50-50. But compared to the last two Godzilla movies, the visuals were a lot clearer to see in this movie. Mechagodzilla looks like a transformer in the Terminator, and it was CGI, not a guy in a rubber suit. They did reference Hedorah in this movie. Maybe we'll see him in a future Godzilla movie down the road. You never know. The Apex company felt like a poor man's Cyberdyne sister from Skynet of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The vehicle design that Apex created reminded me of Super X from the heisted Godzilla series. Millie Bobby Brown reprised her role as the same character from Godzilla King of the Monsters. Again, her acting is good, I just don't find her character that interesting. I feel like it's wasted right here. I thought they would have given her more to do in this movie. Her dad, played by Kyle Chandler, what's ironic, he's probably the only actor I can think of who played two different characters in two different King Kong movies. I forget that he was in the 2005 Peter Jackson King Kong remake, but I don't remember his character in that movie, to be honest. Unlike the last movie, Kyle Chandler was the best character, the main focus, but in this movie he takes a backseat. The kid from Deadpool 2 was in this movie, he's friends with Millie Bobby Brown's character. I feel like it was intentionally made for comedy relief. That's about it. Brian Tyree Henry plays a conspiracy theorist who has a podcast, but again, he was cliched, and he wasn't bad. I just wish he was written a little bit better. But I do see some potential in this character. Maybe we'll see more in the next movie, and you all might recognize him as a detective in the Child's Play remake. That awful movie. The villain character is evil, greedy businessman Simons, and his spy dog were cliche spies, like something out of a James Bond movie. This is also a reference to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, but minus the alien apes. Apparently, Dr. Serizawa had a son we did not know about. This came out of nowhere. I wish he could have been another focus of this movie, but one would think. What he could have done is come in and consult Godzilla and explain how he and his dad were estranged because his dad was more focused on his work than him. Also, sometimes this movie tried to or being humorous sometimes with stale, stiff jokes that did not work. Lance Reddick, who you might recognize from the John Wick movies, has a small part in this movie. The whole other monsters or dinosaurs being found beneath the hollow earth thing was like something out of Jules Verne, The Journey to the Center of the Earth. The hollow earth is nice, but I wish it was not CGI. But again, that's how movies are made today, unfortunately. Fans point out homage to a lot of the past Godzilla and King Kong movies, but I won't get into that. That could be a video of its own, pointing out Easter eggs and tribute references. It was cool to see King Kong find his ancestors' home and sit down on the throne like a king. That was pretty cool and awesome right there. When King Kong is hanging on a building in Hong Kong, it's a homage tribute to the first movie. When he's at the Empire State Building, this is one they had to mention that they paid tribute to in this movie. I know, it's a very geeky thing for me to point out right there. Well, it's not a horrible movie, it wasn't what I expected. Just fun to see two famous, iconic, giant monsters fight each other. That was the highlight for me of this movie. James Rolfe was offered a cameo in this movie, but sadly turned it down. That would have been awesome, especially how he's a big die-hard Godzilla fan, James Rolfe. Also, YouTuber Big Jack Films, who's a huge die-hard King Kong fan, was offered a cameo in this movie, but he also turned it down. I've heard rumors about a possible director's cut to this movie, but I'm not sure how true and accurate this is. But honestly, just leave it alone. I don't see this movie needing a director's cut, but I can see this movie being re-released as a special edition with deleted scenes that we have not seen yet. This movie is the shortest one of the Monsterverse so far. This is also the kind of movie that was written as a love letter tribute for Godzilla King Kong fans and giant monster fans, which I can see why some people will enjoy this movie for that reason. I respect this movie is not supposed to be taken seriously. It's just supposed to be a fun, wild roller coaster ride, and a remake of two iconic giant monster legends facing off again for the first time in 60 years. Some people may like this for the updated effects or still prefer the original, especially if they grew up on the original Godzilla vs. King Kong movie from 1962. For me, it's tough. Both these movies have their place in Godzilla and King Kong movie franchise film history. Maybe some future Godzilla King Kong fans will start with this movie first, then might get them interested and curious to check out the original 1962 Godzilla vs. King Kong movie. Before I end this video, here are my friend Christian's thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong 2021.
So, Godzilla vs. Kong, it's a dumb movie, it's a silly movie, but it's fun. It's a really, really fun film. Again, not a particularly smart film, but it is a fun movie, and kids would definitely love this too. If you have kids, I think they would definitely get a kick out of this. And the whole Hollow Earth concept is pure pseudoscience. I know it's kind of a theory in some circles, and maybe there could be some kind of ecosystem thousands of miles under the ground, but even if it's something like this did exist, it would not be like what's presented in the film. Again, the science in the film might as well be magic. Like, it's almost more of a fantasy film than a proper science fiction movie. But you know what? Just go with it.
With COVID past us and no more wearing mask policy, I go see the new Kong vs. Godzilla movie in the movie theaters. Stay tuned for Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. See you next time.